Some additional considerations when purchasing a power supply. Wattage, you don't want to get the bare minimum. You always want more than the minimum necessary. Number one, you could just have issues if you have just the bare minimum. And number two, it doesn't really give you the ability to add anything either. Dual rail power supplies are those that use multiple wires to supply the power. It doesn't increase the power, but it decreases the likelihood for overheating. Most manufacturers claim to implement separate rails, but this is like inside the power supply, so we can't really know for sure. Size, obviously the physical dimensions need to match the chassis. Now, if you're building your own computer, that's pretty straightforward because the chassis are all the same size. Power supplies are always the same size. When you're dealing with slimline machines or proprietary machines, Dells, HP, they're kind of all notorious for this. They may have their own separate, differently sized power supply. Unfortunately, that kind of stinks because that means we have to go to the manufacturer to get a power supply. We can't get cheaper, I'll say knockoff versions for lack of a better term, but just non-proprietary versions. But it is what it is. You also need to check the number of connectors, as we mentioned. We need to, concern ourselves potentially with redundancy. So what happens if the power supply goes out? Well, on desktops and some servers, they'll plug into an uninterruptible power supply, or UPS, which is basically a battery backup. Then if the power goes out, you have 30 minutes or an hour to be able to continue to use the PC before you have to shut it down. Now, servers will typically have dual power supplies. That's not the same thing as dual rail. That's multiple power supplies that serve as a backup to one another. And most power supplies come with the cables like permanently attached, and so that's why it's important to make sure the number of connectors is right, etc. A modular power supply is simply a power supply unit with detachable cables, okay? There are fully modular and then semi-modular. So semi-modular, some of the cables are attached, the most important ones. Fully modular, no cables are attached.